Live from clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
They lob it up high. Howard! Oh, man! You gotta be kidding me!
Wow. Now at 6:30, it is one of the most iconic moments in Orlando Magic history. This 2007 Dwight Howard buzzer-beating dunk etched into the memories of Central Florida basketball fans, including mine. And it arguably would have never happened if it wasn't for Pat Williams, the man, the myth, the legend that first brought Orlando Magic basketball here to Central Florida has passed away. And tonight we are putting a spotlight on his incredible impact that transcended beyond the NBA. This is News 6 at 6:30, getting results. Thanks for joining us here on News 6 Plus. I'm Justin Mormon.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Williams passed away last night. He was 84 years old. Williams moved his family to Central Florida in the late 1980s to start the Orlando Magic with the help of businessman Jimmy Hewitt. Now, more recently, he led the charge to bring Major League Baseball to Central Florida. He called the Orlando Dreamers. News 6 reporter Jarrell Baker spoke with some of Williams' friends and colleagues today.
I spoke with several people that say that if you knew Pat Williams, then you loved Pat Williams. I spoke with a longtime Orlando Magic announcer as well as one of his closest friends, and they said that Pat Williams was the type of guy that could see the potential in you and then multiply it.
He gave me that after he finished chemo and radiation and stem cell, and I treasured that because Pat Williams motivated.
Pat Williams was a believer who knew how to bring out the best in everyone.
They say that Pat Williams is a cheerleader because he would be like, you got this, you got this.
You've got Walt Disney in the entertainment world, and you've got Pat Williams in the sports world, two icons of Central Florida that really put Orlando on the map.
Pat Williams, the man who co-created the Orlando Magic and authored over 100 books.
How to be like Jesus, how to be like Rich DeVos, right? And so when you start to look at, here's a big one, how to be like Walt Disney.
Passed away this week at 84 years old due to complications from viral pneumonia. Orlando Magic announcer David Still says he's never going to forget Pat's tenacity and love for Orlando.
He had a great vision for what the Magic would be in this community, and he sold me on that. And my wife and family moved from Gainesville in 1989 because Pat Williams was the guy that was making magic happen in Central Florida.
This was the Shaq Penny years. Go for the Magic.
David Bain says even though his best friend for nearly 30 years is gone, the lives he touched, his love for his family, and the legacy he left behind will live forever.
And think of a sponge. He squeezed every bit of life out of 84 years. And he showed me, don't waste time. Make today count. Get the most out of it and love people along the way. To Dwight, go for the Magic in your life. Love you, Pat.
Now, Pat Williams, he spent about 4 decades in the NBA, also working as a GM for the Philadelphia 76ers and helping them bring a title to that town in 1983. He also has 19 children that will miss him dearly. In Orlando, Jarrell Baker, getting results, News 6.
Yeah, this is a community that will miss him dearly.
I mean,
you know, we're talking about him, and he was 84 years old, and it's such a big loss for the community, and we're all saddened. But it's almost like the stories are celebratory and just remembering all the great things he did.
But it's so easy to do that when you talk about Pat Williams. Everyone just, those who knew him well, they light up because he's such a joy to talk about and be around, and he's such an incredible loss, but what a legacy he has left behind for the Central Florida area and really the entire country. And let's go back to that video we showed you at the top of this newscast at 6:30. I was actually in that video. I was at that game.
You're hard to miss right
there. 2007, 16 years old, working as an Orlando Magic ball boy against the San Antonio Spurs. They had 0.8 seconds on the clock, and they had to do that. And as a big-time Magic fan, it's the only sports team I truly care about. I could not resist, even though I got in trouble from a boss.
It was worth it, right?
It was absolutely worth it, and it was all reaction. I mean, I'm not telling myself, well, listen, don't explode here if the impossible happens. And the impossible did happen. That's incredible.
So the rule for the ball boy is what?
Well, especially if you're on the opposing sideline, you're not supposed to cheer for the Magic.
Wow, you
I did
really
quite a
blew
bit
it.
of that. But this is why. This is why, Ginger.
Oh, my
Literally
gosh.
getting home from the hospital. I was born at Arnold Palmer Hospital. And this is what I came home to. I don't remember it. Glad we have pictures that are digitized now, but I was a Magic fan for life. That's Basha on the left. That's
That looks
my
like
little
Zoe.
Maltese. I know. I'm wondering. People always ask me, oh, why did you get Zoe? What made you? I said,
my
well, I don't know. I
gosh.
just thought, now I'm kind of
Now
figuring
you
it
know.
out. Yeah, kind of figuring that out. But no, it's just what a legacy. So many fond memories just being at Magic games. And all of that is just possible because of Pat Williams' vision.
Yeah.
Right?
That-
I mean,
yeah.
it's incredible that
Had
one
he
man can
not
do
been a
that.
dreamer,
Right.
you know, on that caliber, we wouldn't have what we have in this town
Absolutely.
today. I'm glad you shared your story. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. All right. Do you have any Orlando Magic memories? Your first game, maybe the first time you met a player, or maybe if you were lucky enough to actually meet Pat Williams, the man himself. If you have, scan the QR code on your screen and tell us about it in the comment section. We're really looking forward to hearing from you and possibly sharing your story. Well, you can now walk, drive, and scoot along one of Orlando's most popular tourism corridors. Electric scooters, like the ones you've likely seen in downtown Orlando, are now available on International Drive, and that is a long stretch to walk. So these are likely a welcome sight for the people down there.
I think so, absolutely. Those scooters are parked between Carrier Drive and Destination Parkway. News 6's Ezzy Castro shows us how people are already using them.
It is very hot. I'm struggling today. Really struggling, yeah.
Peter Lindsay is visiting Orlando all the way from the land down under. Yes, Australia. And instead of walking, he used one of these, an e-scooter, to grab a cup of coffee on International Drive. What made you pick one today?
Oh, it's just really convenient. Like, it takes forever to walk up and down, but yeah, really convenient.
About 200 electric scooters and bicycles are now available on the iDrive strip between Carrier Drive and Destination Parkway, thanks to a pilot program from Orange County Public Works. And we were there to see a few people use them, like this guy, who told us he was in a hurry to get to his destination.
I'm staying all the way up there, probably 20 minutes, and I just went up there to get a coffee. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So you had one of these outside of your hotel and you said, why not?
exactly.
If you've never used one of these like myself, all you have to do is pretty much download the app for either Lime or Bird. Those are the two vendors available here on International Drive. And for example, for me, it's going to cost me $1 to start, and then it's going to be 59 cents per minute. After that, it also will tell you how far you can go. County workers say they will test out the pilot program for a year, and deputies could ticket you if you use the e-scooter incorrectly. In Orange County, Ezzy Castro, Gonna Results, News 6.
I mean, in theory, those are great, but
Yeah.
if you know how to use them properly with other people who are, say, in cars.
Kind of like cars, kind of like drivers of cars, right?
Yeah.
They're great until you get a bad driver. The thing is, it makes sense, though, to have them there.
Yeah.
Every major, I mean, you go to Rome, all these destinations where they have a lot of tourism, they have them there.
Yeah, they do. And people
so,
seem to know how to use them.
a little bit better.
we got to learn that here.
Well, here's the thing. We've been asking you all day, what do you think about these scooters and iDrive? Will they possibly help with congestion, or will they be a nuisance?
All right, so here is a look at the results so far. A majority of you guys say nuisance, 85% of you, 86%. You can also go to clickorlando.com/react and send in your response to our poll that way.
Well, the growing city of St. Cloud is celebrating the opening of a brand new fire station. Instead of a ribbon cutting, though, they marked the occasion with a fire hose.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
All right, so you get the point. I mean, I kind of like a ribbon. Makes for better TV. But this is a station 34. It's right off US 441 along Nora Tyson Road. Once in service, the city expects it will reduce the response time for firefighters and paramedics, especially for the areas along Nova Road and Narcoossee Road. It is booming through that stretch. And before the new fire station opened, the fire chief told me the closest one was in downtown St. Cloud.
We literally moved them 3.5 miles away from the other station to provide coverage to an area that didn't have any coverage from the city of St. Cloud. So as far as like an actual response time, I couldn't hazard to guess, but I would imagine there's going to be a significant response time.
I mean, if the closest one's 3.5 miles away, definitely cutting those response times. And this was the 4th fire station to open in St. Cloud, but because of that rapid growth, there are plans to add several more. The next one in the pipeline is set to be built on the west side of the city along Neptune Road near the sprawling Tohoku community.
Now at 6:30, you might be wondering, what happened to all those rocket launches?
Yeah, we have not had one blast off from the Space Coast since July 8th, which we all know is unusual because SpaceX alone has been responsible for at least 2 launches per week from Florida. All right, so the reason has to do with this launch right here. This took off from California a week ago today, so last Thursday. There was some sort of anomaly that essentially caused the payload, which were Starlink satellites, to be deployed way too close to Earth. And the only solution was for them to re-enter Earth's atmosphere and burn up. Now, the FAA did not like the look of this, and they ordered all of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets to be grounded until an investigation could determine what caused it. Even though this happened in California, Florida launches also impacted. News 6's James Sparvero spoke with people about whether the lack of launches impacted their trip to the coast.
So before the accident, you could walk on Brevard beaches and watch about 2 launches every week. Now, unfortunately, if you look to the north towards Jetty Park with me, you cannot take in launches or landings from SpaceX. That leaves me to reminisce on the stunning shots I used to get, like this one, which became routine.
It just doesn't get old. I knew it was coming. It just scares me every time when the explosion happens.
Do you miss them yet? I just met Henry here by Jetty Park. He's vacationing with his sons from Tampa Bay. Henry, you've been to the Space Coast before, but there's currently not much space in the Space Coast. You find that disappointing, sir?
No, not really. We're still having a good time here. It would have been nice to see the launch, but I knew it probably wasn't going to happen because of suspension, but we're good. We've seen them before.
How soon do you think SpaceX will get off the ground again?
I think Elon will have it done in less than a month. And go figure, this one didn't happen here. It happened in California.
So of the 50 launches here this year, 46 of them were Falcon 9s. And after the failure last week, when I caught up with Bill Harwood from CBS News, he told me how that rapid launch pace will help SpaceX fix the problem faster too. Listen to this.
That very rapid pace and being able to absorb the risk of launching their own payloads is going to give them a chance to get over this faster than a more traditional rocket company.
Like you heard our new friend Henry tell us, the county's tourism director says he's not too concerned about the pause in launches either on the short-term impact of tourism. However, if SpaceX cannot get the FAA's approval to resume launches by the 31st, then the launch date for Polaris Dawn would be in jeopardy. That's the next crewed mission here. The next astronaut mission to the International Space Station isn't far off either. Crew 9 is supposed to launch in August. In Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, tonight would have been a perfect night for a launch. Let's take you outside to look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 website, clickorlando.com. #1, an extended break for hurricane season. Yeah, exactly. News 6 meteorologist Jonathan Kagas wrote this story about where all the tropical activity went. Things have been mostly quiet after Hurricane Beryl broke records a couple of weeks ago. Jonathan explains why and how it impacts the busy hurricane season experts predicted we would have. I am good. I hope this whole hurricane forecast is busted so badly.
We're rooting for that.
Always.
I know that Saharan dust has been a factor, but you got to check out that entire video Jonathan
it's
put
good.
I mean, it's you'll learn a lot, absolutely. And here's what else is trending on clickorlando.com. A lot of weather tonight. Our News 6 meteorologist posted a review of the new Twisters movie. Did they ask for your input?
They did, actually. I saw it. It was good.
Okay, good. And a new Hooters restaurant being planned in the Villages. Hey now. God, I can't think of a more perfect spot. You can read more about these stories right now at clickorlando.com.
You weren't in here earlier where they made fun of me because I said back in the day I used to love going to Hooters because they had a really good grouper sandwich.
Their food, yeah.
And some would argue their food's not so good, but I enjoyed it.
I know I enjoyed it too. I don't remember
different reasons, probably. All right, celebrating artists and cultural icons.
The 2024 Kennedy Center honorees were just announced. Special look at the recipients, which include a legendary rock band and an award-winning filmmaker. That's coming up next. Jonathan.
We are pinpointing a couple of storms out there. Few and far between, but some nasty stuff heading towards I-75 into Bushnell, Nobleton. We're going to pinpoint where these are heading in a few minutes.
All right, and how to catch a predator, which is a python, a how-to video, and the upcoming challenge.
You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results in Palm Coast, Lady Lake, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Thursday evening traffic alert. These haven't been causing much delay or major inconvenience, but I need you to just be careful along 429 out by State Road 50. Some ramp closures overnight. We haven't seen them bother us in the morning, so that's good. Some lane closures up in Seminole County, and then of course down in the Lake Nona area, some lane closures off of 417 between Moss Park and Narcoossee. If you've driven through here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely. I'll catch you in the morning.
All right, we are talking about our forecast. Lately, it seems like we've had a lot of rain around this time, but I don't think it's raining right now.
It's not for most of us anyway. There are just a few little teeny tiny storms out there, but yeah, a lot of us are dry right now. We have some of that dust you were talking about earlier in the show. We have more of it coming this weekend. So there's going to be a battle between some of the moisture and the drier air. Who will win?
Your
Stick
allergies
around.
will definitely lose.
Absolutely correct on that one. No matter what happens, it's a lose for us. All right, we have a couple of storms out there. Beefy one here hanging around I-75 around Nobleton into Bushnell. This is slowly lifting up closer to Leesburg and into the Villages area. So just heads up on that we are still seeing the West Coast sea breeze lighting up. Drier the further east you are, but notice we also have some nasty storms. No warnings on these around Lakeland. These are also kind of taking I-4 into that direction. So the further west you are of Orlando, things will still be a little rocking tonight. Don't think they're going to make it this far to the east, but nonetheless, as we head towards the 8 o'clock hour, look for areas west of Orlando, west of Apopka, especially for us into Marion, Lake into Polk County as well, Sumter County. We will see the best opportunity for storms tonight. Those eventually fade by 8 to 9 o'clock. There you go at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Things are nice and dry for us. Think a sunny start like we had today, and then we'll see the clouds eventually bubble back up And then there you see it. There's 7, 8 o'clock. The sea breeze has come together, and we will light things up once again to give us a better opportunity for some storms tomorrow with as we get to the deeper stages of the evening. There's 11 o'clock on our Saturday morning. We're starting things dry, and then rain chances go up again. Our typical summertime pattern continues. Love this shot. Great for the beach right now. That is a live look in Daytona Beach with our Daytona Toyota Deland Kia Skycam. Air temperatures hanging around 90. Factor in the humidity, it's at the century mark. The breeze helps when you're on the shoreline, though, out of the east-southeast now at about 10 miles an hour. Temperatures across the board into the upper 80s in Sanford. We're at 87 in Orlando. A little bit hotter for us. It's going to change. We're going to have some of that rain-cooled air pushing in from those storms that are hanging out into parts of Sumter County right now. Look at that. We're at 82 in Wildwood. Now here's a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
Mentioned we have some moisture trying to beat out the extra drier air. We're pinpointing a couple of tropical waves. They have no shot to develop, by the way, but some extra moisture in the eastern Caribbean. There's another one here right behind the Florida Lottery icon there that just went away. There it is. There's some of the green popping back up. But nonetheless, there's also a lot of drier air in the way. So there's going to be this battle where you would typically watch the rain chances go up. It's going to be kind of counteracted by that drier air that's in play. We're at 95 tomorrow in Leesburg, 95 in Claremont, 95 in Kissimmee, hanging around 90 degrees for us in Cocoa Beach. Into Mico, into Melbourne as well. We're at 92 tomorrow in Palm Coast. Now here's a look at your pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast. Over the next 3 days, rain chances holding steady at about 50 to 60%. Still staying hot, mid to upper 90s. Of course, we're going to see that really through August and through September. 94 degrees on Wednesday with a 60% shot for storms, guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have all seen those drivers on the highway weaving in and out of traffic. It's not safe.
Yeah, it really isn't. But it's just as important to be careful when you're passing along the back roads as well. Trooper Steve went on patrol this morning to show us what we can all keep in mind.
If there was a bicyclist in the roadway, the law says as long as I use due care and I am careful and cautious, I can cross over this no passing zone. But there are a few things you need to take into consideration. Can I see when I cross over? Is there going to be a vehicle approaching me? Right now, I would not be able to go over because you can barely see it. There's a little hill. Now I can see straight ahead. I'd be able to come over and bypass a bicycle without a problem.
All right, hit the road live with Trooper Steve on patrol weekday mornings at 8:30 on the new 6 Plus streaming app right here for your smart TV or on clickorlando.com. Now at 6:30, we are exclusively revealing this year's Kennedy Center honorees. The award ceremony, now in its 47th year, celebrates those in the performing arts for their lifetime of profound contributions to American culture.
Yeah, and it is an exclusive club too. Each year, only 5 honorees are chosen, and they are recognized at an extravagant gala in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center Opera House. Here's Vladimir Duthier.
Formed in 1960s California, their band created a lifestyle, with Deadheads traveling near and far to hear them perform. And catch their next great improvisation live. The Grateful Dead is a Kennedy Center honoree.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Considered one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, this 5-time Oscar winner is responsible for dozens of iconic films, including The Godfather series and Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola is a Kennedy Center honoree. For decades, her iconic voice, fusing rock and blues, has created hit after hit. Her upbringing as a Quaker inspired her music and her activism. A recipient of the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, Bonnie Raitt is now a Kennedy Center honoree. Acclaimed as one of the greatest jazz trumpeters in the world, this Cuban-born musician overcame political oppression to perform on stages around the world. With a style that transcends cultural barriers, Arturo Sandoval is a Kennedy Center honoree. It's a beacon committed to Black culture and creativity. An iconic theater ingrained into the soul of America, with legends like Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, and James Brown gracing its stage. The Apollo Theater is a Kennedy Center honoree, honored for their contributions to American culture. These are the 2024 Kennedy Center honorees.
Vladimir Dutit, CBS News.
I got no problems with that list.
No, not at all.
Star-studded.
Not second guessing that.
Well, they're big, they're hungry, they're invasive here in Florida. So what you should do if you encounter a python in the wild, stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes.
Coming up in the morning, the newest cruise ship in the world set to welcome its first paying customers.
That's right. How Port Canaveral says everyone can join in on the celebration of Utopia of the Seas, even if you're not one of the thousands on board.
Plus your pinpoint weather and traffic every 10 minutes. We'll see you for News 6 mornings, 5 to 7 a.m.
When you do encounter a wild python, it's important to know exactly what you're up against before you put your hands on one.
That's right. So that's a clip from a Florida Fish and Wildlife video offering some guidance to anyone who wants to learn more about wrangling a Burmese python. And there is no time to waste because the Florida Python Challenge begins on August 8th or 9th. The hunting competition offers prizes of up to $10,000 for the most and longest invasive snake captured. And before you register, though, you'll need some additional training.
Here's the training. You see this head right here?
Stay
you
away
put
from
a
it.
bullet through it.
Oh my gosh.
That's how you do it. That's the training you need. So FWC says it has a monthly class. It's meant to teach Floridians the basics of python identification and capture.
Yep.
So it's called Python Patrol. It's a virtual class held every Thursday, every third Thursday at 7 p.m. throughout the summer. We have posted the link so you can join if that's up your alley on the homepage of clickorlando.com.
Hard pass.
Yeah, I'm not a snake guy.
No, but we
Not a snake guy.
have talked to people on our podcast, Florida's Fourth Estate, Matt Austin and I, who go out, and this is what they like to do. They go at night, it's dark, it's very scary, and you can't really tell how big they are until you get a hold of them. So imagine being in the swamp, and you get a hold. We talked to a guy who had one of the record breakers, a couple of people actually.
And you see them grab the head, and the sheer power of this snake is insane. I mean, it's flipping these people.
Yeah, and I know people are upset. Like, people won't like that you said put a bullet in their head.
That's fine.
But they are responsible
They're invasive.
for so many of the animals disappearing in the Everglades. So
Get
Retweet.
out of here.
Retweet.
Thank you for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
We break news on clickorlando.com. They'll see you back here at 11. Have a great night.
We are at the downtown campus for Orlando Health, and we are honored to be joined by Dr. Arnaldo Velez today, who is a vascular neurologist here. Welcome, Dr. Velez. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
People have a lot of choices when it comes to healthcare. What is it about stroke care at Orlando Health that differentiates it from other hospitals?
Great question. We have the best vascular neurologists in the area. We have the best neurosurgeons in the area. We also collaborate very well with our sister facilities to make sure that the stroke care they receive anywhere in the Orlando Health system is the best care that they can get.
All right, Darlene, so you have a patient in here. What's going to happen now?
So we call a stroke alert overhead, and then the stroke team responds to the bedside. At which time the primary ED nurse gives handoff to our stroke responder, Mallory.
Okay, perfect. How old are you guys? You know what the month is?
She actually just gets a history from the patient and then starts her NIH assessment to determine the level of severity of her stroke so that she can report that off to the physicians when they come in.
This is a stroke response team, and it is completely original.
We actually implemented that in 2005, and they actually come to the bedside and start the process, and they facilitate the whole stroke alert process. They do the NIH stroke scale. They facilitate the movement of the patient in a timely manner so that we're keeping everything on track so that we can get treatment to the patient as quickly as possible.
So in addition to be fast, so we can identify the signs of stroke as quickly as possible, you also use the NIH stroke scale. What is that and how does it work?
Correct, yeah, it's very similar to BFAST, however it gives a little more detailed information of what's happening with the patient. And it goes from a range of 0, which is a normal patient, to 42, which is a devastating stroke. And it gives us an idea of where the location of the stroke, depending on the symptoms and signs that they have, and what we need to do along the care pathway to treat these patients.
What kind of outcomes are you seeing now versus even a few years ago?
Yeah, so the outcomes that we have and currently experiencing in our hospitals are getting better all the time, but it's as much as important from our perspective as the patient's perspective, making sure that they get in time to allow us to do what we do best and treat stroke patients. But yes, we're seeing many more patients going home rather than going to a nursing home or a rehab facility.
In so many cases, they can go back to having a perfectly normal life.
Completely normal lives, yeah.
For more information, visit orlandohealth.com/stroke.